Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people that you do business with, or in this case, we bring you closer to someone that provides you some delicious drinks that you probably enjoyed over time. So we're thrilled to have Francis Smith with us here today. He's the owner and founder of Tombstone Brewery. We're going to learn a little bit more about Francis and more importantly, what he has to offer there for you at Tombstone. So Francis, first of all, thanks for joining us. I know you're delayed out in Pittsburgh, but you toughed it out and then hopped on the pod, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I can find time when I need to.
All right, so business and personal podcast. So let's learn a little bit more about Francis here. Tell us about yourself and what eventually led you to Tombstone.
I grew up in the state of Michigan. I grew up in the city of Warren. I was a Warren policeman for 25 years. Retired from there, got into the movie industry as an armor. That's why I'm in Pittsburgh right now. I'm working on Mayor of Kingstown, the TV show. And so a couple years back when there was a writers and actors strike, and there was going to be like little or no business in the movie industry, I had talked about doing a brewery for many, many years. And I figured that'd be the best time to try to pull it off. And I didn't have anything to do for a year. So I had all my research and all my background and what equipment I wanted and everything I needed. And so I talked it over with my kids. My kids and my wife are who run the business with me. It's a family-owned, family-run business, and talked to them and said, "Do you guys want to try this?" And they said, "Yeah." So we opened Tombstone Brewery in Chesterfield, Michigan.
Awesome story. And the pandemic definitely generated a lot of interesting stories. There's a lot of businesses I've interviewed on here that started right before the pandemic. They didn't have a business plan to handle the pandemic and had to kind of struggle through that. But your business evolved largely as a result of the pandemic, which is interesting. But
Yeah.
so tell people a little bit about what you have to offer at Tombstone. What are some of your more popular drinks?
Well, Tombstone is again, family-owned, family-run business. So we like seeing families, kids, dogs. We're dog-friendly. I have almost an acre of property behind the brewery that I call my beer garden that has a fire pit, outdoor seating. We've got a radio outside for music. And so when you come to Tombstone Brewery, you got the inside atmosphere, which is a brewery. We normally carry 14 beers on tap, 2 of the ciders, and then about 9 wines on any given day. So you have a selection to choose from any of our beers that we have on tap. And we just not too long ago won a bunch of awards through the Michigan Brew Trail for a lot of our beers. So if you come to Tombstone, you're going to get great product, and then you have a great atmosphere both inside and out.
I was going to ask you what separates you or makes you different from some of the other breweries. Sounds like you kind of touched on it there. How much land do you have there for people?
Yeah, we've got 3/4 of an acre behind the property. It's got cornhole boards. As soon as I get back from Pittsburgh, I'm building a horseshoe pit in the back area behind the fire pit. Normally on weekends, weather permitting, we have a fire out back, and you can sit outside and have one of your beers or wines or ciders while sitting by a bonfire, listening to music and enjoying the outside environment.
What were we thinking? We should have just been recording this on site over there.
I'm all for it. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, we might have to schedule another one here down the
All
road.
right.
So how important is it for you to get your ingredients locally?
Well, we look for them, and it's tough because a lot of the grains, there's not a company in Michigan that does grains full time. There's smaller productions out there, and I've spoken to a couple of them. But when you're making beer, you got to find it. Now, as far as hops, we've used a bunch of the Michigan hops, and so we do have Michigan products, and we do look locally for things that we can use. In fact, when I get home, we're going to start doing some small batches of possibly mead. So I'm going to talk to some of the local bee harvesters and ask if I can use their honey to make my meads. And I've talked to a few people in the New Baltimore downtown farmers market about using their honey. So it is important for me to keep everything as close to Michigan as I can.
You said this is something that you've had on your mind for a while to do, and as you reflect now, you've had a little bit of time into this. Has it gone as you envisioned it would? Better, worse, somewhere in the middle?
Nothing what I expected. I can make good beer, and like I said, we're award winning now. Our beers are really starting to get recognized out there. Two of our best sellers is what I have is an Oktoberfest called the Reaper, and then I have a IPA that's called the Gravedigger. And right now they're two of the best beers in the area, and people are always searching us out for those type of beers. And so when I opened the brewery, I knew I could make good beer, but the business side of it was a little bit of a surprise. I'd never really had a business before. I never had any kind of business classes in college. It was just all kind of off the cuff. I thought I knew what I was doing, and there was a lot of surprises and a lot of headaches and heartbreaks the first couple months along the way, just trying to figure everything out. But everything fell into place, and it's going about where I was hoping it would be. I'm hoping it'll continue to grow as people find us, come out, try our product, enjoy that backyard, bring their dogs out. Hopefully we'll get more and more business coming in.
I think it holds true with any business, but especially your business too, that you always have to evolve. You always have to kind of bring new products to the forefront to get people something different and excited to try out. Do you feel like that's part of the task, is always coming up with a new flavor or something different for people to try?
Well, yeah, we have a large selection. We have 14 beers, and that's larger than most breweries that start out. Most places have 5, 6, 7, 8 beers to start out. We went big and went with 14. So we do have a rotating, when it's summertime, we have fruitier beers like blueberry kolsch or a mango IPA, things of that nature. When fall comes around, we start making our porters. So it's always evolving and changing, and we're always looking to make people happy and want to come in and try the product. So we continue to rotate. We only have 3 or 4 that we continue to make them our flagship beers, and those are the ones that people like the most.
So what is France's favorite?
My favorite is my Gravedigger. It came out of just, I guess, years of experience. I was a home brewer for 40 years, and we made a lot of different beers. Me and my buddies, they actually still brew with me. On any given day, it's usually me, my best friend, his brother, and then sometimes my sons. And so we've come up with a lot of good recipes over the years that we like. And so once we put them out to the public and people were actually trying them now, and it wasn't just for our consumption, I was surprised to see how many people liked the same things that we liked when we were making beers all these years.
So what is the benefit to be part of your mug club?
Well, our mug club, normally I'll make a beer every once in a while that's mug club exclusive. Last year it was a pear beer. It had a pear flavoring, and you would have to be in the mug club in order to get a taste of that. And our mug club members really enjoyed that. And then when we make small sample batches, we give them the opportunity to try them first. And then being a mug club member, you get a discount on merchandising and other things. So we try to keep our mug club very exclusive. I know some breweries have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in their mug club. We try to keep ours a little bit more exclusive. We've got our original 150 members that signed up right when we opened. We just opened it up to another 120 people. So we're keeping it a little bit smaller of a group so that it has some exclusivity to it, so that you feel like you're privileged to be part of our mug club. A lot of our people are proud and come in. They all have a mug that has their number etched on the bottom. A few people have their names etched on the bottom, and they come in on a very frequent basis and say, hey, give me my mug. I'm ready to have some more of your Gravedigger or whatever. And it's always fun to have them come in.
I'm always interested why a business chose a particular name. Sometimes it's easy to figure out, sometimes it's not so easy. So how did you ultimately settle on the name of Tombstone Brewery?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. I was going to actually call Tombstone Cemetery Brewing. And I was brewing again with my best friend Jeff one day in our basement. And I said, if I ever go, I'm going to try to call it Cemetery. And I happened to Google it, and there was a bunch of them. There's dozens of them around the country. Brew companies brew things all named Cemetery. And I said, well, I don't want to be just another name out there that gets confused. And as we were brewing, he turned to me and he said, well, there's tombstones in cemeteries. What about Tombstone Brewery? And I had already gone into Tombstone Brewery in New Mexico. And I said, well, I know there's one in New Mexico. Let's Google it and find out. So I Googled it, and that was it. It's the one Tombstone in New Mexico. And I said, you know what? I kind of like it. So we stuck with it.
Love it. Very interesting. I always love those kind of stories. So, you said you've been through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to where you're at now, but there's always a next level to try to get to. What are you hoping to for the next stages of growth?
We're looking at two areas right now. We're starting to distribute more. I've already got my beers in a bunch of restaurants and party stores. We're at a small scale distribution level right now, and so we're looking to increase that. We just got some grant money to get another fermenter, which will help us with our production and get us into a different area for distribution. And we're also looking at potentially another location in the near future once we get this one dialed in and we know what we're doing with this one and it's in a comfortable place. We may look at expanding to another area of the state just to kind of get our name and our brand out there.
And just so people know, where can they get your products outside of Tombstone?
Well, they're all through the New Baltimore, Chesterfield area. Right now, there's a restaurant, Sugar Bush, on 21 Mile and 94. If you go up into New Baltimore, there's a few restaurants up there. And as you go up into Clay Township, you can go to Club Capri and a few other places. And so we're doing that on a small scale right now, like I said, and we're looking to increase that. And we're starting to get into canning. I just have a canner behind the bar that we can have people carry home cans of beer to go if that's what they so choose. We also have growlers, but with the cans now we can make up a batch, a case of beer, and then take it to party stores and try to get our beer out into the party store realm. And that way people get to know who we are and what we can provide to them as far as the quality of beer.
I think that's a wrap for this podcast, Francis. You're making me thirsty. I'm going to have to go out and test some of this out. But
yeah, why don't we do the next one at my brewery in the backyard by the fire? Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just before we do go, anybody that's still listening is certainly interested in your product. What's the best way to get in touch and to test it out?
Well, we're Tombstone Brewery. We're located at 21 Mile in Jefferson. It's actually Cotton and Jefferson. We have websites, Tombstone Brewery. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. So you can look at some of our upcoming events. We try to do events like Oktoberfest, St. Patty's Day parties. We do a lot of things for charity. A lot of charity groups come out and use the brewery. So you can always check the medias and the social medias and websites to see what we have going, and then stop on in and give it a try.
And where can we find you on the big screen next? What's your next
right now I'm working on the TV show Mayor of Kingstown. I have some other job potential going either to Texas or staying here in Pittsburgh. So not sure what the future holds with the movie stuff, but I'm going to be heading back home tomorrow to get the brewery back into its up and running mode.
Awesome. Well, hey, never a dull moment in your life, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, it's busy, but it's fun.
Great. Well, thanks again, Francis, for joining us. And we will definitely do on site for the next one.
I look forward to it.